Cześć, witajcie, tutaj Nelfines Gaming After 30. Dzisiaj gramy w, powiedzmy, parodię, taki teoretycznie przynajmniej żart na fabuły w grach komputerowych RPG. Szczerze mówiąc, nigdy jeszcze nie grałem w Stanley Parable. Słyszałem, że gra jest niezła. Nagrywamy też na YouTube'a, więc na czacie nie będę raczej się może przynajmniej przez większość czasu skupiał tak bardzo. Ale zobaczmy, co tutaj... Co nam tak naprawdę oferuje ta gra. No podobno jest to satyra na fabuły w grach RPG. Zobaczmy. Loading całkiem długi. Zobaczymy. Jestem ciekaw, czy w ogóle pójdzie mi na maksymalnych detalach gra. Powinna, aczkolwiek nigdy nic nie wiadomo. Ten tytuł ma już chyba z 2 lata albo rok. Była to gra indie. Okay.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-wrenching, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
No dobra. Wstaliśmy. Okej, kontrolę. Nigdzie nie ma żadnych kluczy. No cóż. Tak jak mówiłem, to podobno jest pewnego rodzaju parodia. No, nie wiem za dużo o tej grze, ale jest to podobno pewnego rodzaju parodia na grę RPG, fabuły w dzisiejszych grach RPG. A jest to podobno dość zabawna gra, aczkolwiek specyficzna. Dobra. Wyszliśmy z biura, tak jak nam powiedział narrator.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Aczkolwiek...
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Tak. Jest to... Mamy narrację tego, co robimy.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
A swoją drogą wygląda to jak dzień w korpo. O, włączyliśmy komputer. Super. Dobra. Wszystkie są pozamykane. Wszystkie drzwi.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Na lewo. A spróbuj na prawo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Okej. Mam nadzieję, że to nie jest nie ma tutaj żadnych podtekstów typu jumpscary, bo ja szczerze mówiąc nie mam nerwów na takie gry z takimi rzeczami.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Drinks, okej.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Dobra, trzeba mieć jakąś kartę. W ogóle jestem ciekaw, możemy wrócić? Nie można się cofnąć. Nie można też nic przenosić.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Faktycznie.
Stanley, your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Okej. O, ciemny pokój.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. Oh, no, 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 you can't. Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check.
Niechcący.
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Okay. Practice. Okay.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
No.
Back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and
Okay.
see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Okay.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Co, nie możemy tutaj dalej wejść? Dobra. O, można się schylać. Ale już...
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
No i co? Jeszcze raz? Okej, nie można iść dalej.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that you... My story! You've destroyed my work! Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. Oh, I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of them? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Okej.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Dobra, spróbujmy na lewo pójść, zobaczymy co tam będzie.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Do not alter without consulting with whiteboard manager. Meeting room. Dobra. Tomorrow, complete day's unfinished agendas. Right next day's agendas. Repeat. Okay. Get Chris out of the broom closet. Standard. Okay. Who moved my desk? Please key. Okay, dobra. Rate of increase in graph per slide. Please no more charts. To jest taka kompletnie korporacyjna, korporacyjny absurdzik. Closet, nie da się.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Z powodu, że nie można inaczej, to why not? Tu się nie da nic zrobić.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Please speak clearly into... No.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Biorąc pod uwagę, że to chyba nie ma połączenia.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
No dobra, Nightshark 11? Nie.
Okay, fine.
Nie mam
You're
połączenia.
gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You can't be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply want you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Nie wierzę, żeby to była jeszcze końcówka. Okej.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No dobra.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Okej, to nie jest koniec. Takie było zaplanowane.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Jestem ciekaw, co będzie. Jak rozumiem, tutaj są różne wyjścia do zrobienia. O, inne biuro. Tak.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. Of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
No dobra, zaczyna być ciekawe. Okej, gra się widzę rozkręca.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Tak, no faktycznie to jest Pewnego rodzaju już widać jakby tą satyrę, że jeżeli idziemy zgodnie
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large
Mind Control
doors of the
Facility.
Mind Control Facility.
Znaczy, kiedy idziemy jakby zgodnie z instrukcjami gry, no to jest to troszkę escape. Że kiedy idziemy zgodnie z instrukcjami gry, no to trochę się zachowujemy jak właśnie takie bezwolne kreatury. No jestem ciekaw, co tutaj będzie. Przejdźmy teraz się jakby zgodnie z narracją.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Wygląda trochę jak Cerebro z Room. Tam, gdzie Xavier szukał mutantów. Okej, monitoring. Memo. To chyba nawet jest zapisane takimi po prostu zero-jedynkami.
Now the monitors jumped to life. Their true nature
Fired.
each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Wolność nie znaczy nic, tak. Nie ma wolnego wyboru. A, 427. Okej, tamten jest nasz. No, dobra.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Dobra. O, jeszcze tylko sobie... Okej. Jeszcze trochę sobie poprawić.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Facility power.
Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Okej. Nic nie można zrobić chyba więcej. No dobra, czyli Power Facility. Jedyne możliwe przejście. Mind Controls Island Waiting Input. Wygląda jak DOS. DOS Command Line. Dobra, System Power.
At last he found the source of the room's power. He knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
System Power, no to off, nie? Coś słychać.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Okej. Beat the game. Okej, czyli idąc po sznurku można przejść grę. I za każdym razem z tego co kojarzę też.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Z tego co właśnie słyszałem, kiedyś tam się doczytałem, to tej gry nie można skończyć teoretycznie przynajmniej, bo ona ma jakąś tam ogromną strasznie wariację rozwiązań i ona się powtarza.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Zawsze jest ok, na razie na lewo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Zobaczmy.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
It says, do not jump from the cargo lift while on motion will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift. No dobra, zobaczmy.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one has to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Okej. Czyli można zginąć. To coś nowego.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Okej. Jeszcze raz pójdziemy. Spróbujemy podnieść
When
telefon.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper. Something darker.
Okej.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ponownie nie.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift 5000. No dobra, zobaczmy.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself.
No dobra,
To put your work aside. To
spróbujmy.
let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley.
Spróbujmy odebrać telefon.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Good morning, employee. Press X on your keyboard. Okay.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Okay.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Okay.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Press 1 to watch TV.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Spend some time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Tell your kids a story.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Okay.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Okej, dobra. Jestem ciekaw, jak długo będzie można czekać. Tak naprawdę ta historia jest całkiem niezłym całkiem niezłą paralelą rzeczywistości. Nie wiem, ja akurat w korporacji nie pracuję, ale takiej rzeczywistości korporacyjnej może być, bo z tego, co jakby rozmawiam ze znajomymi, no bywa tak, że życie w korporacji jest poniekąd wciskaniem takim bezmyślnym guzików, ale to nie tylko tak, to też myślę, że w każdej pracy tak może być i gry też takie bywają. Jakby są ucieczką taką od rzeczywistości. No jestem ciekaw. Okej, dobra, może przejdźmy dalej, żeby jakoś popchnąć.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
To question nothing.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time you'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Please
Stanley
die.
pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I
Okay. Please die. Okej. Jedna z dziwniejszych produkcji. Troszkę się zmienił ten pokój.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Whiteboard ending.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single
tam jest
difference,
wyjście.
nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Faktycznie jakby liczba różnych rozwiązań zachęca do tego, żeby jednak spróbować jeszcze raz.
Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Tak.
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, And it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal.
My life for
Everything will be
hire.
fine. I am okay.
Okay.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Okay.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay. Okej, zaczynamy od nowa, rozumiem. Tak, no fakt faktem. A swoją drogą dalej jest, znaczy wracamy do tego pierwszego ułożenia. No tak, ta przed chwilą ta historia brzmiała trochę jak no taki angielski czarny humor.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
Dobra, zobaczmy co dalej.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
A, jeszcze wiem co miałem
This was
sprawdzić.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
No dobra.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, he decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Dobra, zobaczmy. Czy tutaj się coś się zmieniło? Executive. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money in the breakfast, money crisp. Okej. Za każdym razem jest jakiś jakiś dodatkowy element. O, tym razem się to otwiera. No. No to jest fajna, fajnie też zaprojektowane, że zawsze jest co dodatkowego sprawdzać. Bo za każdym razem są jakieś dodatkowe elementy, które też przekazują do tego, co żeśmy grali przed chwilą. To można nawet wręcz... Okej, dobra, nie wiem, czy to był zamiar twórców, ale to też można jakby odnieść, powiedzmy, do kontynuacji, czy alternatywnych, powiedzmy, przejść gier. Chociaż no jakby te nawiązania typu zamknięty schowek na szczotki, no to raczej do kontynuacji, które jest tu jakimś tam nawiązaniem do poprzedniego przejścia. No dobra. Czyli rozumiem, że nacisnąć jeszcze raz, bo inaczej by się nic nie stało. Aha. Dobra. Dobra, w drugą stronę. O, ta panda z pistoletem. Masakra. No dobra, czyli tu się nic nie dzieje.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be?
No, nie pamiętam.
In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845.
No.
Of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Dobra, to chyba jest na razie tak samo. Tu dalej chyba też jest to samo, przynajmniej na razie. Tam był ten
Stanley walked straight ahead
Mind
through the large door of
escape.
the red mind control facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Okej. Ci skoczcie.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Okej.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Alright. Okej. Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Okej, dobra, ma to jakiś sens, że kiedy śmierć jest możliwa do cofnięcia, to tak naprawdę nie ma znaczenia. No. Czyli nie przejmujemy się losem naszego bohatera w grze tak bardzo, jakby nie uważamy, nie jest to nasza jakiś przedmiot naszych nie wiem, trosk, jego dobrobyt, bo wiem, że jeżeli zginiemy, no to okej, można zrestartować grę. No, okej. Całkiem ciekawa office layout, całkiem ciekawa interpretacja i taka perspektywa, no powiedzmy, na grę i chyba całkiem prawdziwa, no, tak nawet nature paintings, chyba nawet prawdziwa. W sumie oczywista rzecz, ale póki to jedna z tych oczywistości, które póki ktoś nie powie, to tak naprawdę przynajmniej tak mi się wydaje, że nie zwracamy na to uwagi. Wiemy o tym, ale nie zwracamy na to jakoś specjalnie uwagi. Dobra, office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game to the two doors, first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added, altering throughout development through the core layout from first. Okay. Office computers. Możemy włączyć jeszcze raz. Mamy button sounds. Credits, okej. The Office. Maintenance. O, Boss Office. Screens of the development of the boss's office. Okay. Freedom ending. First. Freedom ending. A tu można też pójść dalej. Na to nie zwróciłem uwagi. Mind Control Facility Underground. An early version of Underground portion of the game. Narration outtakes. Co? Jeszcze raz. The voice of the narrator recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over 2 years. These are clips from early takes that not used in the final game. Szkoda, że nie słychać. Może kwestia ustawień dźwięku. No tak, ale to jest gra, gdzie niby nic się nie dzieje, ale jakby wracamy do niej, nie? To jest tak, że za każdym razem jak się załaduje, to wracam przecież. Przychodzę ponownie. The Office. Apartment timer. Listening to the 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to different ending. No w sumie tak. Option 1. Fend, obey, disobey, launch. One option. One doorway to maintenance in the lounge. One doorway to maintenance in the lounge and original back on track. Option, 2 doorways to maintenance. Różne teoretycznie wersje, co mogłoby się wydarzyć. Meeting room. Zending levers. These levers were originally part of Zending. The player would pull a lever and the narrator would describe what color lever they had pulled. Okay. Zending mode. So, countdown desk, freedom ending. This is the freedom ending as it's in beta. Okay.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Okay.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. Listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now, and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Czyli tak, wracamy. Do początku pewnie. Co teraz się escape, ok. Teraz jeszcze jest maintenance. Można zjechać na dół. Coś tego? Okej, momentami jest dziwna ta gra. Ja i teraz nie wiem, szczerze mówiąc, czy powinienem czekać, czy może... Okej. Game is now paused. Picking the game again. Okej. Save. Achievement, you can't jump, okay, unlocked. Pewnie było dlatego, że spację naciskam, okej. Okej, dobra, zobaczmy. Poda jest mega dziwna, ale... O, jeszcze teraz znowu inny pokój mamy. Znaczy korytarz. Oj, od razu
When
skrót.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Do maintenance.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
No, spróbujmy. Inny poziom. Rozumiem.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Okej.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Komentarze narratora dobre są.
Now, let's see, we went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Okej.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. This time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
O,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
teraz stałem, że jak tam pójdę, to będzie nawiązanie do tego.
When Stanley... Wait, what?
A, już teraz.
No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's
Oh.
find the story.
No dobra. Coś nowego. Coś kompletnie nowego, no proszę. Dobra.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress
Okay.
by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
O.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Okej. To nie zwróciłem uwagi, czy coś było.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
Okej.
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Okej, znowu gdzie indziej.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Absurdalność tej gry jest... O. To widziałem gdzieś jakiś filmik z tym
All right,
Adventure Line.
I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Okej, dobra. Czyli dalej jest zamknięty tutaj. Jestem ciekaw, czy w ogóle jest jakieś tutaj zakończenie, czy tam wyczerpuje się, powiedzmy, liczba tych powtórzeń i wariacji. No,
You see,
jestem
the
ciekaw.
line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, Are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Korporacyjne nierównoważności. Kasa. Strasznie głośno.
Cut the music. Go back and look at that
Dzięki.
fern.
Co?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Nie usłyszałem, co mam mogę ogarnąć. Nieważne.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Tędy wszedłem. Dobra, idziemy tędy teraz dalej. Za linią. Jest to tak absurdalne na maksa.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore, to hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Okej, otworzył nam drzwi.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Okej.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Okej. No już widzę, że zakrawał daleko idący absurd. Linia sobie ucieka. Trochę jak ta...
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each...
trochę jak to miejsce z portali, to... O jest... Nie pamiętam, jak się nazywa ta fabryka, ale tak, mi to przypomina trochę.
lead somewhere, which means that somewhere the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley.
Wiesz,
Our destiny awaits.
wtedy mieliśmy iść w lewo. Confusion ending. You've been playing the confusion ending for...
Oh, hold up, what's this?
O,
Confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this
fine line
thing,
again.
wall.
How long? There's no...
Who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really...
Stanley umiera po długim czasie.
It can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be
Good board ending.
I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule?
Fine line
How would we
again.
even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Au. Okej, dobra. Gra się zestartowała. To teoretycznie było 5. Tak, teraz spojrzę sobie na podgląd. O, czyli 5. 5 restart.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dobra, spróbujemy dojść do tych 8 restartów.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Tak to pewnie można grać dość długo, więc dojdziemy do 8 restartów i tyle.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hope coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Tu nic nie ma. Nic nowego.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Dobra. Znów jedziemy windą. Mogliśmy wejść do Mind Control Facility albo pójść ścieżką ucieczki. Bo szybciej było restart. Pójść do Mind Control
Stanley
Facility.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
A, już chyba jest, tak. Już podniesiony jest.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Okej.
This
Winda.
mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Dobra, zobaczmy.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
Szybko.
Or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that
Spróbujmy
this
tak.
machinery would never... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until
Spoko.
detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you.
O, ale
about
wyjście
me,
jest.
where we're going. What all this means. I barely know where to start.
O,
What's that?
co? Nam
You'd
przejście.
like to know where your co-workers are. A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Wtedy. Czyli rozumiem, że zaczynamy od nowa. To był 7. restart. To był chyba 8 startów.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible?
O, to już było.
They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
O, to już ten. To już było.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic.
To
Perhaps,
też
but
już
eager to
było.
get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Okej, czyli są jakieś inne wyjścia. Znaczy, jakaś powtarzalność. Już są, to jest siódme podejście. Więc
And get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Czy nie? Czy też
Oh, no.
tutaj
No,
powtarza?
it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Dobra, to się już to powtarza, więc
Down, right, left, down, left.
to teoretycznie jeszcze jeden restart. Według tamtego confusion ending.
This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Okej, czyli to się powtarza. Tutaj już mamy to samo.
No,
zapomniałem o tym.
This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay. From the top.
No okej, czyli tutaj już się powtarza jakieś rozwiązanie.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Zaraz zobaczymy, czy one się powtarzają. Tak, to już będzie...
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game.
A, jeszcze jedną rzecz zobaczymy, ale widzę, że tutaj po prostu...
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Liczba wariacji jest jednak w jakiś sposób, no nie za wiele razy ograniczona, no.
Was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then, it's an adventure. Come
Okay.
Stanley, let's find the story.
Jak na grę indie, która, znaczy chyba indie, no ona nie wiem, żeby była wydana przez jakąś wielką korporację, no to jak na tego typu tytuł, no co, prawie 2 godziny gramy, no wydaje mi się, że całkiem w porządku wynik. Miał być...
I'll say it, this is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Tutaj jak gdzieś to samo bez...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it be?
Gdzieś to samo bez względu na to, co wcześniej żeśmy wybrali. Okej, teraz drzwi nie ma, okej.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from.
Dobra, wiecie co, no tutaj już widzę, że w jakiś sposób to się zaczyna powtarzać. Nie będę, że tak powiem, do tego rodzaju zakończenia jest kilkanaście minut. Moje wrażenia ze Stanley Parable, kupiłem go po jakiejś promocyjnej cenie, nie wiem, za 4 euro i myślę, że to była spoko cena za grę, tego typu indie grę, która no, prawie 2 godziny zajmuje, no, żeby powiedzmy przed jakimś tam rodzajem znudzenia. Jest zabawna, naprawdę jest ciekawym pastiżem takiego no, posiadania wyborów w grach, które są albo prowadzą nas po sznurku do jakiegoś tam zakończenia, albo mogą właśnie do różnych niedoróbek nas doprowadzić. Jeżeli obejrzeliście, to powiem szczerze, że chyba nie ma sensu jakby przechodzić, kupować. To znaczy, nie spodziewam się, żeby ta gra miała więcej do zaoferowania. De facto chyba spoiler trochę był, ponieważ przez te 2 godziny, no dobra, 1,5 powiedzmy, trochę ponad 1,5 godziny chyba pokazałem większość tej gry. Ale warto było, no powiedzmy tak, po tej niższej cenie jak kupiłem, naprawdę było warto się pobawić, bo były zabawne momenty i taka trochę abstrakcyjna gra, ale sympatyczna, natomiast czy bym ją polecił? Jeżeli macie jakieś, powiedzmy, możliwość ją kupienia po jakiejś niższej cenie, w jakiejś promocji, gdyby nie to, żeście to oglądali, to tak. Natomiast jeżeli ktoś się kiedyś mnie zapyta o tą grę, to mu pewnie ją polecę, tylko właśnie w jakiejś promocji, po jakiejś niższej cenie, żeby się pobawić. Bo moim zdaniem warto. Ok, dzięki. Do zobaczenia następnym razem. Jeżeli wam się podobało, to możecie zasubskrybować mój kanał na YouTubie, mojego Twitcha, mojego Facebooka. Linki są chyba tutaj powyżej mnie, tak, a Twittera też, tak, adresy tych moich miejsc są właśnie powyżej, możecie zobaczyć. Dzięki bardzo, na razie, trzymajcie się, cześć.